Good evening and welcome. First up, while US President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un play at cowboys and Indians in the sandpit of global one-upmanship, let's find out, is there really a red button on the desks of leaders? One which they can press to trigger off a nuclear strike? Well, in the US, the so-called red button is really a metal briefcase which is always carried by the military aide who accompanies the President of the US everywhere. Only the President of the United States can authorize a nuclear attack. The briefcase and its cover weigh about 20 kilograms. So what's inside that suitcase, which is also known as the atomic football, the black box, or even the button? Well, inside the briefcase are 4 items. There's a black book which lists the options open to the launching country for retaliation. There's another book with a list of site locations of where the President can be whisked away to safety. Then there's a folder containing a description of procedures for the emergency alert system. And finally, there's a small card with authentication codes on it. Now comes the strike itself, and here's how it goes. The President would first decide on which weapons are to be launched. Next, his order would be verified by the Secretary of Defense. Next, the President has to identify himself to the Joint Chiefs of Staff through his personal code. It is only after all these steps that nuclear weapons would be launched. Now, the procedures vary slightly in different countries, but there you have it. It's not as easy as President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un would have us believe. In short, the red button does not exist. It is a visual image out of the movies, a metaphor of sorts to imply that all power rests in the highest office, that of Prime Minister or President. All right, I have with me WION's senior foreign editor Padma Rao, who is joining us from the WION newsroom this evening. Good evening, Padma. What do you make of this unseemly public spat, if you will, about between Trump on the one hand and Kim Jong-un on the other hand?
Well, I think it's very in keeping with the characters of both these gentlemen, as we've seen, especially in the new year. What wasn't in keeping with the character of Kim Jong-un is, his sudden change of heart, if you like, and his sudden change of suit, if you like, and the appearance he made and the slightly conciliatory tone he's taken on. And, of course, indeed, the commencement of talks, as we saw just now, at least between North Korea and South Korea. Now, all this could not, of course, have happened, I do feel, without some sort of a track 4, track 5, track 6, if you like, diplomatic effort which also involved the United States. I don't think it is possible that the South Koreans and the North Koreans could simply just meet at the border and talk across the fence without the United States being aware of that conversation. Never mind what the conflicting noises that are emerging from the United States. But as we know, the United States administration has always preferred to speak in 2 tongues and perhaps keep the world guessing, and that is indeed what seems to be happening. But it is a welcome sign. And as far as the talk about the red button is concerned, as the story just said, this is really, about 2 global leaders having a little sandpit spat in the sandpit of international politics, if you like. And I think that's it's more for consumption, public consumption, than what is really likely to emerge. Because as we saw, there really is no red button. It's not that easy to press a red button without an entire chain of command and control being in place.
And very quickly, Padma, does this back and forth, this verbal duel, as it were, reduce the scope for talks, negotiations going forward?
I'm sorry, Ramesh, I didn't get your question.
This back and forth between Trump and Kim Jong-un, this verbal duel, will it reduce the scope for future negotiations or dialogue?
I don't think so. I think it's really just, keeping, on the one hand, they're upping the ante, on the other hand, they're talking. And that is usually what happens. We've also seen that happen frequently between India and Pakistan in the past. Of course, since at least till talks froze over completely after the 26/11 attacks in Mumbai. But I think it is a normal part of diplomacy, especially between 2 states that are not exactly the best of buddies, that they tend to talk on 2 levels, if you like. and indeed on multiple levels, multiple tracks, if you like. So yes, there will be the conciliatory tone emerging every now and then from DC and as well as Pyongyang, but the two leaders, enjoying the huge sort of public viewing that they seem to enjoy, each of them within their own spheres, will certainly keep up the rhetoric that that they've been indulging in up to now.